What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check update, what's going on in the United States, Washington, D.C., money, investing, and the next stimulus package, which has been announced at $3.5 trillion, and the House of Representatives is moving forward at it at $3.5 trillion. We're going to go over the latest details of it and the delivery timeline, when we can expect them to be voting on it and passing it in the House of Representatives. We're going to give you details and dates in this video, as well as when we can expect them to be passing it in the House of Representatives, with some dates, some timelines, and as well as government shutdown timelines, raising the debt ceiling timelines, and preventing the government from shutting down, and also preventing the government from a debt ceiling government default. That's right. The U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says the government will default next month if they don't raise the debt ceiling. Yeah, there is a lot going on here. So we got a lot to cover here. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so. New videos come out here on our channel every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you find these videos helpful, don't forget to hit the like button for us down below, and let's jump right in. A new study has come out that has shown that the Pentagon has spent $14 trillion on defense in the last 20 years. $14 trillion on war in the last 20 years. Up to half of it went to for-profit defense contractors. Yeah. I'm not sure whether I'm to be angry about this, sad about this, or how to feel about this. Yeah. Definitely not happy about this. You can let me know your thoughts on this. Here's the study. The U.S. military has spent $14 trillion since the attacks on 9/11, with nearly $7 trillion of that going to for-profit defense contractors in the last 20 years, according to a new study from Brown University's Watson Institute for International and Public Affairs. Wow. $14 trillion, and $7 trillion of that going to for-profit defense contractors just in the last 20 years. Wow. Another recent report reported to by Forbes says that the war in Afghanistan cost America $300 million per day for 20 years, with big bills yet to come. Yeah, $300 million per day. Well, now that we're out of there, we're saving $300 per day. Yeah, $300 million per day. So that means that every 3.5 days that the U.S. is saving $1 billion. $1 billion that we're now not spending by not being in Afghanistan. Now that our men and women in the armed forces are finally home after 20 years. Thank God. So now that we're saving $1 billion every 3.5 days, well, we could use that to support our people here at home. We could surely use that money to send out stimulus checks to people in need. I mean, imagine that. We're saving $1 billion every 3.5 days. Wow. They could use that money for this next stimulus package, although the Congressional Budget Office, they wouldn't do that. Wow, imagine that. $1 billion every 3.5 days. Now, remember, a lot of the big fuss right now is how they're going to pay for this next stimulus package, and some of the senators, the Democratic senators even, are demanding that this next stimulus package be paid for, fully paid for, which is very, very different than the last 3 stimulus checks and the last 3 stimulus packages. The first 2 stimulus checks and stimulus packages underneath former President Donald Trump, and the 3rd stimulus check and 3rd stimulus check package underneath current President Biden. All 3 of those stimulus checks and stimulus packages were not really paid by anybody. They were not really paid for by American taxpayers because the U.S. government over this year and last year run a deficit. okay, and has for many, many years. So that means that the US government is spending much more money than they take in. So it all just went to the national deficit because the stimulus packages were on top of the national deficit, which means the government spent more money than the US taxpayers had already paid for the government. So the government's already spending much more money than taxpayers pay. And the stimulus packages were on top of that. But this next stimulus package and the infrastructure package are expected to be fully paid for, almost fully paid for by tax raises, raising the corporate tax rate, the raising taxes on wealthy individuals making over $400,000, some leftover stimulus money, some creative financing, like they're gonna have $600 to $700 billion by forcing pharmaceutical companies to lower their prescription drug prices. That alone is going to save the U.S. government like $600 to $700 billion, billion with a B. And I think they should use part of the billions of dollars they're saving by not being in Afghanistan. I mean, we're saving $1 billion every 3 days. Imagine if they use that money for the next stimulus check. I mean, we're saving $1 billion every 3.5 days. I mean, hey, we could use that for the next stimulus check, although they won't use that. They, even though we're saving that money, we could use that money to give back to the American people. Imagine uh, a radical idea like that. I mean, we are saving $1 billion every 3.5 days by not being in Afghanistan. Where's that money going now? Does anybody know where that money's going now? Anybody? Anybody know? Yeah, interesting. Would be interesting to know where that money is going now, wouldn't it? Nonetheless, we have some very interesting specific dates and timelines to talk about. Several different dates and timelines that we must talk about that are very important timelines. The first one to talk about is September 27th, which is now, what, 9 days away? Here we go. Okay, this is an important date. You can see from this headline here, Steny Hoyer, who is the House Majority Leader for the Democrats, he's the person right below Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker. He's the Majority Leader of the Democrats. He kind of does the scheduling for the Democrats. He has affirmed that the House of Representatives will vote on September 27th on the bipartisan infrastructure bill. Now, this is the physical infrastructure bill. Okay, this is not the stimulus package. And I'm going to explain why this is very, very important. Okay, because the physical infrastructure bill is supposed to be voted on after the stimulus package. After the stimulus package. Okay, again, they're going to vote on the physical infrastructure bill, the bipartisan infrastructure bill. This is supposed to come after the stimulus package. So if we're reading between the lines here, the stimulus package, if all goes according to plan, which it could not, we'll discuss this here in a second. The stimulus package, the $3.5 trillion stimulus package, if all goes according to plan, should be, could be, maybe will be finished and fully voted on and done in the House of Representatives before September 27th, which means done and voted on and passed, if all goes according to plan, within the next 8 days in the House of Representatives. And here's why. Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, had to make a promise to the moderate Democrats, and this was several weeks ago at this point, because if we go back here, if you've been watching the show, if you remember this, that when the Senate passed the initial opening procedure vote to unlock the reconciliation process, and then they sent it over to the House, the moderate Democrats they didn't want to vote on the stimulus package first, okay? They wanted to just pass the physical infrastructure package first because that had already been passed in the Senate. And what they said, and it kind of made sense, is that, listen, the physical infrastructure package it's already been passed in the Senate. Let's just pass it in the House and get rid of it and get it done, get it out there. It's $1.2 trillion. Let's just get it done, and let's get all the money out to states, cities, and counties. And it's going to send billions of dollars out to all 50 states: roads, bridges, clean drinking water, sewer, internet, and millions of jobs over the course of many years. Okay, it's going to send a lot of jobs, money, billions of dollars to all 50 states. It's a bipartisan bill backed by Republicans and Democrats. 19 Republicans in the Senate, including Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, signed off on it. Okay, the Democrats can literally pass the bill on their own in the House if all the Democrats vote for it, but there will be some Republicans who will vote for it as well. Um, so that vote, Nancy Pelosi promised that vote would happen on September 27th. But the problem here is that we don't know if the stimulus package will be done by then. So we have about 7 or 8 days until then. Okay. And the House is actually moving really fast to get this done. The House is actually finished, from what I understand. They haven't actually released all the portions of the bill. They released a few slivers of the bill, only what they wanted to release to the public, which is actually like 1,000 pages. The most non-controversial parts of the bill, still like 1,000 pages, that says they are going to include monthly checks to the tune of the child tax credits. Those monthly checks are going to expire at the end of this year if they don't pass this package. They do want to extend that. But the problem is that this bill is literally changing by the day. Literally changing by the day. They had a vote also go up for prescription drug prices that initially didn't pass. 3 Democrats voted against it. And literally things are just changing by the day. They haven't even released the majority of the bill. The House subcommittees voted on it behind closed doors, 13 different subcommittees. And we're going to be getting the whole entire bill released to the public here very soon. Even after that, the bill could change. Okay. But all this kind of needs to be voted on by the House here within the next few days, because by September 27th, which is not this Monday, but the next Monday, House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer and Nancy Pelosi have promised to the Democrats, and really the kind of thereby the Republicans, that they would vote on the physical infrastructure package. Now, here's the thing, is that if they don't pass the stimulus package by then, which is a possibility, but they're going to really try to pass it before then because they kind of need to. Because here's what will happen if they don't pass the stimulus package in the House by then. A lot of Democrats are going to be very upset that the stimulus package isn't passed by then. And it's not that they're not trying to. They're going to really try to, because if they don't, we're going to probably see a lot of revolt by a lot of Democrats that the stimulus package isn't passed first in the House. And we literally could see a lot of Democrats vote no on the physical infrastructure package, because the stimulus package isn't passed first. So what we could literally see, if the stimulus package, I'm not saying this is going to happen, I'm saying this could happen. If the stimulus package isn't passed, we could see a lot of Democrats vote no on the physical infrastructure package. Now, it still could pass because we have Republicans and Democrats kind of voting for it, although Republican leader in the House, Kevin McCarthy, is going to vote no. Remember, only 19 out of the 50 Republicans from the Senate voted yes on the physical infrastructure package, even though Republicans are historically for physical infrastructure. So we'll have to see if that happens, if it'll pass. All the Democrats voted yes on the first bill, but if the stimulus package doesn't pass, things are going to be dramatically different if they have to vote on it at that time, which is not this coming Monday, but next Monday, if the stimulus package isn't passed first. So it's going to be it's going to be a very heated vote if they're forced to vote on the physical infrastructure package without the stimulus package being first. Because all the progressive Democrats, everybody has it in their mind that they're going to pass the stimulus package first, and then they're going to vote on the physical infrastructure package. But they made this deal that by September 27th, they have to vote on the physical infrastructure package. Meanwhile, time's ticking. Time is ticking. If you could picture the movie My Cousin Vinny, when they're outside and my cousin Vinny's girlfriend is out there saying, my biological clock is ticking. And she's out there saying, I don't remember the quote. Maybe you know the quote off the top of your head, but she says, my clock is ticking here. And yeah, the clock is ticking. And it's not that they're not trying to pass this bill as fast as they can, because they are. It's just that things are really complicated. Like even look at this particular thing I just seen here yesterday. Some House Democrats are threatening to vote against the party's bill if HBCUs, which are historically black college universities, don't get more federal aid. Yeah, so now we have some Democrats that are threatening to vote against it if some historically black college universities don't get more aid. And then we have some other Democrats threatening to vote against it if the SALT tax don't get removed. And then we have some other Democrats threatening to vote against it if the language for the prescription drugs pricing doesn't get changed. So they're really kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, trying to make everybody happy. And it's very, very difficult to make 220 people all happy and pass the bill at the same time. And then, in addition to this, we have Steny Hoyer says that the House will vote to void a debt default, raising the government debt ceiling, and a government shutdown next week as well. Yeah, the House Majority Leader said the Democrats will look to suspend the cap on how much money the government can borrow, which they have to do by next month. They're going to start the process this week, because what they're going to have to do is really see if the Republicans are going to all vote no. And if they start to vote no, that could really send a bad message to the world. And we're going to see what will happen. But Nancy Pelosi has said they're not going to include that in the reconciliation bill, the stimulus package. Also, the government will shut down on October 1st. Remember, raising the debt ceiling and the national debt limit, raising the national debt limit for the government are two different things. Yeah, so as you can see here, the federal government's fiscal calendar runs from October 1st to September 30th, meaning a shutdown will occur if lawmakers don't pass a budget by the end of the month. So by September 30th, if they don't pass a annual budget or a what they call a stopgap, the government will shut down, have a government shutdown on October 1st. Okay. And then you can see here, Congress must suspend or raise the debt ceiling before when the U.S. would default and risk missing payments to Social Security and the military. Lawmakers have until the end of this month to fund the government, while Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has warned that extraordinary measures to stave off the debt limit are likely to run out in October. This article from CNBC says the Treasury is expected to exhaust those measures sometime in October and reach a, quote, drop-dead date when the U.S. government would default for the first time ever. When it runs out of those measures, the U.S. will risk missing payments to Social Security, the military, and interest on its approximately $28 trillion of debt. So literally, if that happens, the government runs out of money, and we don't exactly know what will happen then, because it's never happened before in the history of ever. The government would run out of money. So when the government runs out of money, everything runs dry. So what would happen? Well, we can't really answer that question because it's never happened before. CNBC here, NBC, says that when it runs out of those measures, the U.S. will risk missing payments to Social Security, the military, and interest on all its approximate $28 trillion of debt. So like I have said in previous videos, defaulting on debt obligations in the entire country is the worst thing that can possibly happen. It's the worst case scenario. It's much, much worse than a temporary government shutdown. We've had government shutdowns before. That's really, really bad. A default on the country is exponentially worse. It's the worst thing that can happen short of uh, it's very, very, very bad. Let's just put it that way. We do not want this to happen. And that's why when I see this article that's from Fox News, it says over 100 House Republicans have signed a letter promising not to vote to raise the debt ceiling. And 46 members of the 50 Republicans in Senate, what are they going to do? They're going to let the government default? And remember, they raised the debt ceiling 3 times during former President Donald Trump's presidency. They raised the debt ceiling under Obama's presidency, under Clinton's presidency, under Bush's presidency. You have to raise the debt ceiling. If you don't raise the debt ceiling, the government defaults. It's literally the worst thing that could happen. I can't even, like, I'm beside myself to even think that this is an option. I don't even understand. So I don't know. They're gonna have a vote on it. It looks like this upcoming week. There's gonna be a lot this week, apparently. So they're gonna try to get the stimulus package vote this week. They're gonna try to get the government shutdown vote this week. They're gonna try to get the debt limit ceiling vote this week. I'm actually surprised they've let the debt ceiling go this long. I mean, they should have voted on this by August 1st, and here we are, September 18th. The debt limit should not have gone this long, honestly. Republican, Democrat, Independent, doesn't matter who you are. We should not have been in this position. It's a very sad fact to say that we're running on extraordinary measures and the government's gonna run, the country's gonna run out of money in less than 30 days. How did we get in this position? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I've been starting to see more and more comments that raising the debt ceiling needs to be priority number one. And I'm starting to realize that a lot of those people are right, because if the government runs out of money, it's gonna be the worst thing ever. In I mean, short of a lot of really horrible things that have happened in the past, it's gonna be one of the worst things ever. Now, unless it, like, I don't even know. Let's just hope it doesn't happen. Okay, I will keep you up to date with everything. Hopefully they pass all this stuff this week or get some significant progress done on a lot of this stuff this week. So you've seen the schedule. Yeah, new videos come out here on our channel every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Do not miss any videos at this point. I will keep you up to date with the stimulus package, the infrastructure package vote, the government shutdown, and the debt limit ceiling. 4 major, major things literally happening here within the next 10 days or so, the next 2 weeks or so, because they have to get this stuff done. They have to, or else it's going to be dire consequences. Yeah. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. You can click this video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video is how there's a major petition to add in $1,400 stimulus checks into this next package. Click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.